There is a moment when you arrive somewhere new and realize your expectations were too small. You thought you were going to observe. Instead, you feel welcomed. You thought you were passing through. Instead, you feel invited in. That moment is quiet, but it stays with you. This story begins there. With surprise. With warmth. With the feeling that ideas are not only shared through words but through atmosphere. The context here is not just a city or an event. It is the environment that ideas are born in. We often think great ideas come from pressure, seriousness, and intensity. We imagine brilliance as something sharp and cold. But sometimes ideas grow best in places that feel open, playful, and human. When people feel safe, they take risks. When they feel supported, they speak honestly. When they feel joy, they listen more closely. The first surface insight is simple. The energy of a space shapes the quality of ideas inside it. When speakers cheer for each other, something changes. The audience relaxes. The room becomes a shared experience instead of a performance. Ideas stop being delivered and start being exchanged. Think about conversations with friends versus presentations at work. In one you feel alive. In the other you feel careful. Warmth lowers the cost of participation. It invites curiosity instead of judgment. That matters because ideas need room to breathe before they can grow. The hidden assumption we often carry is that seriousness equals value. That fun means shallow. That humor distracts from meaning. But warmth does not weaken ideas. It strengthens them. Laughter helps people stay present. Playfulness keeps attention open. Support allows vulnerability. When speakers feel held by the room, they speak from a deeper place. They share work that comes from lived experience, not just polished thought. The third insight reveals a pattern. Communities that hype each other create momentum. When people celebrate one another's success, stops feeling scarce. Competition softens. Collaboration rises. This pattern shows up in teams, families, and cities. When people root for each other, they stay longer. They invest more. They care about outcomes beyond themselves. In these spaces, ideas connect across difference. Art sits next to science. Nature sits next to technology. Humor sits next to grief. And instead of clashing, they enrich each other. A new perspective begins to form. Maybe the future of ideas is not louder or faster but kinder. Maybe the most powerful innovation is not a new tool but a better container. A container where people feel they belong even if they disagree. A container where curiosity replaces fear. A container where learning feels like hanging out with people who want you to do well. That kind of environment does not happen by accident. It is built through small choices. Smiling. Listening. Encouraging. Showing up fully. Application to daily life is closer than it seems. Think about meetings you attend. Do they feel tense or open? Think about classrooms, workplaces, or family tables. Do people feel safe to try and fail? You do not need a stage to create this energy. You can create it by asking better questions. By celebrating effort, not just outcomes. By noticing who has not spoken yet. By turning competition into shared curiosity. These small actions change the emotional climate. And emotional climate shapes what people dare to say. There is an optional deeper layer here worth staying with. Warmth is not the opposite of rigor. It is what allows rigor to last. Cold spaces burn people out. Warm spaces sustain them. When people feel joy, they return. When they feel seen, they contribute more honestly. Over time, this builds trust. Trust allows harder conversations. Hard conversations lead to better ideas. Better ideas come from people who feel they belong. Even the playful moments matter. Dancing together, laughing together, getting a little lost together. These moments flatten hierarchy. They remind us that behind every title is a person. That reminder changes how we listen. And listening is where ideas truly begin. As this journey moves from city to city, one thing becomes clear. Place matters. But feeling matters more. The sun, beaches, and beauty draw people in. The people make them stay. When a group feels like a friend's circle rather than a crowd, ideas stop being guarded. They become gifts. Shared freely. Shaped together. And carried forward with care. So as you think about the spaces where you learn, work, and share ideas, what would happen if you focused less on being impressive and more on creating the kind of warmth where others feel brave enough to show up fully?